We have it in this business called optometry every single day to make a difference. And that's why I say I'm still practicing today because I want to make a difference. And so that's what keeps me going. So I think that the future in optometry is still bright, but it's different. We're going to have to deal with things like AI where, I can be talking to you, you don't know if this is a bot or not. Optometry's got a great career, a great future, and I really believe that we're in for changes, but those changes are surmountable. And I think that if you care, we will never have to dare to be afraid.
This is Optometrists Building Empires, and I'm your host, Ankit Patel. Each week, we'll explore the journey of practice ownership and leadership in optometry. Join us for insights and strategies from the top minds in our field. This show is sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team helps your office increase revenues, reduce costs, and reduce staffing headaches. Let's build your empire together. Today's guest is someone I'm thrilled to be speaking with, and it's been a year in the making. She's a passionate optometrist with decades of experience in eye care. She's launched Canada's first optometry website in 1999 and began profiling real case studies online in the year 2000, drawing on a database of over 200 eye exams that she conducted personally. Her leadership extends beyond the clinic, having mentored students, lectured at universities, and joined the Care One telemedicine network to improve access to eye health across Canada. She's also a published author with 2 books currently published, with a third on its way. She's an active member of her community with organizations like Not in My City. Last year was a transition period where she finished her master's degree in human resource, and she went from being owner optometrist to associate optometrist in the practices that she founded called Eye Health Centers, which is located in Saskatchewan and Calgary. A total of 3 locations between the areas. I want you to please welcome Dr. Diana May Monea. Dr. Monea, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I've done more than 200 eye examinations. It's more like 200,000, or more. I don't know, in a period of almost 5 decades. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. And with that, the first question we always have is, what was the most important thing that helped you grow your empire?
Well, I think that probably fear and perseverance, and that I want to really show anybody that, when it's not easy, you got to get over the obstacles and keep going. And although there have been many challenges throughout the years, even what it was when I started in 1978, for women to get money at a bank when interest rates were 24%, and all you had was your degree, and that was it. And yet my fellow male colleagues were easily went to a bank and got their money. I prepared beyond belief, went to the bank, and the banker said, your brother would have to co-sign a loan. So, I mean, how is that fair? So I had to come up with another way of finding a way to get the money and huge student debt and start my own career, because really nobody wanted me. Nobody wanted a woman because basically she would just have children and then she would practice full time. It would be an economic loss.
That's tough. Perseverance. I talked to my wife. She's an optometrist. She technically owns our practices. And so she's a doctor. And, we talk about that. And I couldn't imagine coming up when you did how much harder it was. So tell me a little bit about uh, what made you keep going? Why did you want to do this then? There's a lot of barriers put in place. What was that driving factor for you?
Well, I really want to tell you that coming from, I think it was probably abject poverty, and the only way that you could get anywhere was actually to do it yourself. The only person you could really count on, I really believe at that point, was yourself. And really, as time goes on, you realize that if it's to be, it's up to you or to me. And so I had to reprogram everything. When I got accepted into optometry, there were only 3 positions in Saskatchewan available. There were 40 across Canada to get into optometry. I didn't have grade 13, and so I had to do the first year of optometry together with grade 13. And of course, leave, the province that I was at to go many miles to the other end of the country. And it was, I'm going to do this. I'm bound determined to do this. Um, the only person I can believe in is myself. I've got to do it. And so I suppose perseverance, grit, resilience, and probably stupidity were the factors that drove me there.
Yeah, you know, some of the common themes I hear are people who grew up with less fortunate means or athletes or a combination of the two. Those are folks that are common themes that we hear from guests on the podcast. And and I'm curious, you know, you grew several locations, Canada, also expanding your reach in other ways. Um, when you were doing all this, you know, what'd you run into that you were like, oh, I didn't expect this at all, right? Some of this stuff you might have expected. Yes, you know, there's quite frankly some sexism and bias against women as you're growing up. But like, what are some of the things that you ran into that you didn't expect growing your practices?
Well, I think the most important thing is that no matter what you do, it really doesn't matter the kind of money that you make. It's giving back to the community. I think that living life is like winning a bank account. If you keep making deposits, that's one thing. But if you withdraw all the money because for yourself, that's another thing, and then you end up bankrupt. So my thing is that no matter how much you did, you always have to give back, and when you gave back, it was a much greater feeling than just making the money. And so my thing is that I think that in this profession of optometry, we have a unique position where we can change the view of people every single day. And you don't know really, but we have the ability to not only improve their sight, but we also have the ability to see their soul, not to mention all the other diseases that go on inside. And so I think when you can just take a child and change their direction by virtue of improving their vision or getting them a pair of glasses when no one else does, and giving back to charity. Those moments are incredible. And I remember the case of uh, this wasn't that long ago, maybe a decade or so ago, where a young girl came in, brought off the street, and by a street worker, and she was visibly pregnant due to have her baby in just I don't know, maybe a week or so. She came in with her boyfriend and the street worker, and her prescription, she had no glasses, was something to the tune of -7. And so anyway, I said, well, we have to help you out. And so we examined her for free, got her a pair of glasses, and her boyfriend took the glasses to her. And I told her the most important thing when you have a child is to make sure that child is examined early in life because vision is genetic. So years go by, and I never really thought about it much. And then, probably a couple of years or so ago, this girl comes in with this 4-year-old or 5-year-old, something like that. And she says, I don't know if you remember me, but I was on the street. I was homeless. I was pregnant. And now I want to tell you that I am a plumber and an electrician, and I have my own business. And she said, I just wanted to come back and tell you that I brought my child because you told me it was important, and also to thank you. So when you get those moments, we have it in this business called optometry every single day to make a difference. And that's why I say I'm still practicing today, because I want to make a difference. And so that's what keeps me going.
That's such a cool story. Like I like how it's your why, right? And that's another thing that we hear is like, hey, that's really cool. Cool. I think Simon Sinek, right? You hear these YouTube videos. A lot of people talk about that, um, and it's got to help you get over some of those harder times that you went through. Um, from a tactical standpoint, so I'm going to blend a little bit of tactical with some of the other empathy side too. What were some of the hard things that you ran into with the actual growing the business side of things? Like, what was tough about that you didn't expect?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think it's really ever changed. I mean, there are many aspects of it. Running a business is not an easy job. And it's particularly not easy when you're a mother as well and have children. And of course, you have a husband as well. And so I think the biggest factor where, first of all, you have to get out there and you have to become visible and you have to get people to come to you to trust you. You have to make sure the economic picture is there and you have to get the up-to-date equipment. So you have to be knowledgeable about what is needed. You have to have foresight into what is anticipate what you need. And I've always bought equipment with the idea of not how much money I can make, but how does it really improve the quality of care? How can I describe, for example, an OCT? We had an OCT long before it was even uh, really regularly used because I want to explain to patient, this is your retina. This is what a diabetes is doing to you. I am showing you right now before you become a candidate in a situation of where there's no return. And so I really believe that education is the most important thing. So in running a business in the tactical side, it is a mishmash of where do the patients come from? How do you develop the practice? How do you buy the equipment? How do you keep current? How do you make everything pay for itself? And so it's a real big factor considering you've got insurance that doesn't want to pay a certain amount. Insurance, you can be de-insured, which has been a case that we've had in this province in the country lately. And so we've had the insurance by healthcare and all of these different factors. And now economically, with all the changes that are occurring, you know, people are having a tough time putting food on their plate, paying for the gas, and so on. So how do you manage all of that? Those are the most difficult things.
So let's talk a little bit about your transition. Now, I'll let you share whatever you'd like to share. But can you share us what it was like to go from starting the practice to becoming an associate? And why now? Why not earlier? Why not later? Yeah, let's start with that. What was it like?
Well, you know what? There comes a point in your life when you have to make some decisions. And my husband and I have been looking at a number of things. Should we sell it corporately? Should we do private equity? Should we sell to associates and whatever else? I've had a number of associates throughout the years. Not everyone wants to be involved in running a business because it's not easy. And things have changed. And the pressures economically and in other ways are very, very difficult. So we had looked at a number of different avenues in the process of making decisions about, I wanted to keep the culture the same. I wanted to keep the, what I'd say, the legacy, to produce a legacy and continue that the same. So I wanted to not make it into a cutter thing where basically it was this and it represents this. I wanted to keep that what represented myself and to the patients as well. Now, the most difficult thing comes, or sometimes it's like a movie. You don't know when the scene is going to change. And so one moment I'm speaking to you, and the next moment you're no longer here. That is the case with my husband, where I was speaking to him, and 1 hour later, really, he was deceased because he had an aneurysm. And so that's just that quickly how things can change. So then everything catapults onto myself because he was the controller of the business for many years, an engineer. And so many of the systems that we set in, ERM, EMR, and so on, had been set up by him, and so on and so forth. So all of a sudden, I became from not only a practicing optometrist, but I had to be a controller. I had to deal with all of these different things. It all fell upon me. And of course, at that point, you're more worried with my daughter as a heart condition and ARVC, which is kind of a genetic heart condition, and she has two little kids. So we had that to deal with as well. So when crisis strikes, it's like a falling set of dominoes where your life changes completely almost overnight. So you have two approaches, once again, as in starting practice to this, a sudden life change. How do you manage it all? And I'm going to tell you something. The most important thing in this life, and you find out when you're at your very bottom, who's there to pick you up. And I'm going to say to the people, the staff that were with me, the associates that were with me, the long-term people that we have had in our business are there and still are. And for that, I'm grateful. And for the strangers that came in your life, that you never expected to help you. And the office was kind of like a funeral, and people were saying, like, "Is this a funeral home? There are so many flowers." It's just really unbelievable of how people want to help, and it's unconditional. So I just have to say, even the patients. I mean, it's just it like I really have to feel guilty about how well and how lovely people have been to me. So much that one of my friends is a director in movies, and she's actually um, going to display a movie that she's made of myself and my career. And that's supposed to debut very shortly about the journey. And she hasn't shown me this because she wants to surprise me. But I've been very fortunate, and you know, I really don't even know how to say it. It's just that no matter how we look at this world and look at how difficult it is at times, it's amazing how people come all the time. And so I'm a very fortunate person in that respect.
Thank you for sharing that. I know it's been a tough year for you, and that could have been easy.
To go to the other side, to run a business and be kind of like this side, it's not easy. It really is not easy. And are you ever prepared for it? The answer is probably no. But for all of us, there is going to be a time when you have to make that decision. And should you make it early? Yes. And so I'm doing a little, a seminar on succession and whatever else. And I think when you start a practice, you get so involved with the practice, with the family, with running things, with changing all the changes that occur, in optometry that are certainly changing right now, and we forget that at some point it's all going to end. So I think that if I were to give anybody something, having gone through all the hurdles that are there, you always should start a practice with the idea of succession. In other words, start something with an end in mind, because you never know when it's going to happen by a series of circumstances. I love practicing. I love my patients. I really don't want to end it. Do you know what I'm saying? I want to now, this is a stage in my career where I want to give back and help other practitioners of all the things that are necessary to be done. Because even though the world changes, it doesn't really. Because things, in my day, when I started practicing, interest rates were 24% and growing. So, I mean, this is nothing compared to where we were. So, but there are circumstances that are different, right? And the competition is much greater because we didn't have all the entities that we have now in terms of competition. I mean, when I was an optometrist, I did everything. It was kind of like a one man show. I mean, we had lenticulating lenses. We didn't have IOLs, so where people could get an implant put in, and then they could see again. We didn't have that, so we've got competition on many different levels. It's just different.
I like that. Um, and so building on that a little bit, what are you excited about in the future, right? Whether it's yourself or the industry, what are you excited about? What do you see that's really on the horizon?
First of all, I would like to see the world in a better place so that there was hope for everyone. I really have to say that after COVID, things have really changed. And you see, because I've seen in fifth generation of patients and still see them, I really want to say to you this, that my concern for all of us is the anxiety that people have right now over what's happening, and we don't know. We seem to be lost in a culture that's so anxious ridden about what tomorrow is going to bring that we forget to live today. And I think that instead of just what's in it for me, I think we have to look at things differently. That's why I took a master's in human resource, because what is with the workforce today? I mean, what do you mean? I mean, I'm a baby boomer. If my leg was cut off, I would still show up for work, but it's not the same anymore. And that's a hard thing for me to appreciate. So, what did I get out of the Masters of Human Resource? Even though I won 3 scholarships and whatever else, and I'm an old person, I did learn one thing. I'm not sure I learned a lot about human resource, but what I did learn is that all generations can work together. Every generation has something to offer. And can you imagine a world where everybody contributes? Can you imagine what we could actually create? And we're not competing with each other. We're just contributing. So, for example, if I want to learn something new about an EMR or something, yeah, or something like that, or how to work, I don't know, some new digital thing, I don't want to go and take a class on that. I can just ask one of my Generation Zs, one of my grandchildren to figure this out, and they can do it faster than I can even think. And then I'm like some genius because my generation doesn't know how to use it. So I think that the future in optometry is still bright, but it's different. We're going to have to deal with things like AI, where, I can be talking to you. You don't know if this is a bot or not.
Like, full disclosure, we are real people. Yes. First.
I was thinking I can make the perfect seminar by just having a bot here, man. But
Sure.
I'm just going to say that AI is going to be the future. In my day, and I never thought I'd hear myself ever say my day, because now my day means that I'm old, because I heard my parents say my day. So now I'm saying this. But I'm going to say when I started, it was a daily contact lenses or contact lenses where you could just buy online were not there. It was a paper file. So we had to go from paper to computer files. That was a big source in itself and a big change. Not everybody converted. Then we had to go to, people were buying online. What do you mean that's force against us? People buying online? Yes, it is. And so now we're going to have to deal with AI as a factor, and it will be a factor. But how will it be a factor? So, for example, I can have my eyes examined by online, whatever, and so I can just look in a camera and I can decide what frame I want and so on and so forth. And then I can just order it online. So, I mean, there are going to be many, many changes in this industry, um, good or bad. But no matter how you look at it, if you don't embrace it, you will be left behind. So we've got some major changes occurring in optometry. And I think that we're going to have to refocus on how we do things. And that's going to be a big involvement in terms of education, in terms of economics, and in terms of where we're going. Will we be able to sit at home as optometrists? Will your wife be able to sit at home as an optometrist and, have everything done digitally and then just report in? Will that would be it? I mean, I don't know. Maybe, and maybe not. Will that be safe? I don't know. Will we have competition where right now we have where um, the technicians come into a physician's office and do the necessary tests, OCT, all the different tests that we have pre-testers do, send it off to an ophthalmologist who then online determines whether or not you have glaucoma or not and treats you accordingly, not even seeing you.
That used to be the future. Yeah. Remote exams, especially.
Well, insurances go that way because it's cheaper.
Part of it too is yeah, like it's hard to treat some of these rural areas.
I mean, I've got a kid that's sick with an eye infection. Okay, so I'll just say I already have patients doing that because I respond to patients at midnight. I say, yeah, rather than going to ER and sitting there for 15 hours and getting everything else, just send me a picture of your kid. Okay, yeah, okay, so yes, all right, so we'll treat that. Then you need to come to the office because I want to make sure that in fact that's what it is. So I mean, yeah, things are really changing, and if you don't embrace it, that's the whole thing. You're going to be left behind. So it's just like if you're still using paper files, well, you got a problem.
Yeah, it's been a while since we converted. Yeah. Um. So, help me. So I'm curious. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self coming right out of OD school?
Well, I think the most important thing is to always keep up to date. I really never want to stop learning, and I really believe that learning is a all encompassing thing. Not only for your brain cell, of course. At this age, you worry about like do you have Alzheimer's because I can't remember where my keys are, and then I just say, well, it's just not an important thing anyway. But what I'm saying is, you want to keep abreast of what's going on all the time. You want to keep learning and you want to be always a step ahead of the game. And most importantly, when you look at purchasing a piece of equipment or something that you're going to do, don't think about how much money you're going to make. think about how does it benefit the patient? I've always believed that education is the key. So I can sell almost anything. I mean, I can sell whatever. And, my sales per patient are pretty high. And they're not because I'm any damn good at it. It's just that I want to show a patient this is why you need that progressive. Or, that gives you the wide peripheral field of vision, not only because I'm old and, I can demonstrate it, but because it's going to make a difference in your life about this, this, and this. So when you educate people and it starts from the chair, if I, the optometrist, don't believe in what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and don't see a need to it, how can I ever convince anyone? Anyway, so the most important thing is don't sell if you want to make money, educate.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Educate, don't sell. It's actually good. It's interesting. Um, the I I think you're right. A lot of folks tend to focus just on, oh, I got to find a disease or I got to do this contact instead of taking a look at it from, hey, what's the best for the patient and how do you educate them and take it through that journey and teaching. So you're almost like a teacher with every patient, is what I'm hearing. Is that pretty accurate?
So, you know, I think you have to love what you do. Like I really would have loved to have been a teacher. So maybe in my next life somewhere, I would be a teacher. But I just think that it's so much fun with people of all different walks of life, and everybody, you know, sometimes myself get really upset and, but people that, are not exactly nice. When people are miserable and whatever else, you don't know what they've been into, or you don't know what they've been through. And so I never really take it personally. Sometimes I have to say, like, what is your issue here today? And you get these grumpy old guys, and then they're laughing at the end. It's just because, I asked them directly where it's at. I think that you have to be an actor in this field, and you have to love what you do, and you really have to love the patient, and you want to make a difference, no matter how cranky they get. So I'm telling you this because I care. And if you care, you'll always be successful.
I like that. And I'm curious. So if people want to learn more about you, Diana, where can they reach out to you? Where can they find out more?
I'm always buzzing around. They can go to my Instagram. I'm there. And of course, our website has it as well, which is ihealthcenters.com.
We'll put that in the show notes for people can reach out to you if they want to get connected. And so thank you again, Dr. Moya, for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. And I hope, optometry's got a great career, a great future. And I really believe that we're in for changes, but those changes are surmountable. And I think that if you care, we will never have to dare to be afraid.
And thank you, audience. If you learned something or laughed, just please share this with a friend or colleague. And make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Thank you again, Dr. Moya, for being a guest. And this has been another exciting episode of Optometrists Building Empires. See you next time. That's a wrap on another episode of Optometrists Building Empires. Thanks for joining. For show notes and more, visit buildingempires.live. This show is proudly sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team was born out of staffing challenges my wife and I faced together, managing multiple optometry locations. We refined our approach at classic vision care and now offer our expertise to others. If you're experiencing challenges with staffing and you'd like to set up a discovery call, we'd be happy to help you and connect you with the right resources. We'll see you next time.